Honestly, not much. It's just a commitment of showing up to the board meetings and helping make decisions as to directing the shelter into the future.
And when are the board meetings and how often do you meet?
Currently, this past summer, we switched from every month to every other month. I'm not sure if they're going to go back now that winter's come to every month, but generally every month, the last Thursday of each month at 6 o'clock.
At night, I trust?
What's that?
At night, I trust?
Yes.
Local bar.
Well, what we heard from the earlier meeting was that there's a dramatic need for a new shelter, a larger shelter, and the county's given you $150,000 so far, none of which I understand has been spent. And it seems to me that, and this is not by way of a criticism, but if we could kind of activate or increase the energy level behind an effort to get a new building by spending this money we've given you on plans and experts and engineers, and maybe getting some, I hesitate to use the word high-powered, but energetic people that really want to spearhead this thing on the board or provide guidance to really kind of light a fire under this thing and get going, because it seems like it's a huge problem, at least we're hearing from the ACOs in the town earlier today.
It is a huge problem. I would completely agree with that.
Yeah.
I wasn't the one who put out the appeal for the money, so I was always under the impression that it was very strictly to be put aside for the building of a new building only. So I think that's where the...
Yeah, I understand that, because if it's going to be a $3 to $5 million building, we're never going to pay for it at $50,000
Gotcha.
a year in our lifetime. So, I mean, I think it seems to me, I mean, I'm not telling you what to do, but it seems to me a good idea to spend some of that money now to get some plans and get a campaign going and rally public opinion and, get the train moving out of the station. So.
Sounds like you'd be a great board member.
Well, I'm already on 2 other boards, so I'm bored of that.
Yeah,
But I could help find someone. I'd be glad to contribute some.
That'd be great. We can always use new people and new ideas.
So I think that what we'd want to do with your suggestion is go back and look at the resolution that provided for the $50,000 for 5 years. And to see
how it's
what that,
designated, yeah.
how is it designated, and then perhaps we tweak that at another.
Well, also, my predecessor, Newell,
Yeah.
is on your board, right?
He is, he's the board
And
president.
I think this was his idea, so he should be intimately
was.
acquainted with what this money is for and what's to be done with it, so.
Yeah. He is.
I'm sure he is.
Okay. Can I answer any other questions for anybody?
I was wondering what the impact of Newport was on the shelter.
As far as incoming animals?
Income and animals.
Income, they are below per capita than Skowhegan, Fairfield, Madison, and Norwalk, actually, I believe. Even though it doesn't seem like they should be. And their police department handles their incoming strays, and they tend to keep them at the police department for up to a week and try to find the owner before they bring them to the shelter. And then that's actually the way they've always done it. So they're actually a little on the lower end of all of the other problems.
I missed the first, which town is this?
Newport.
Newport.
Oh,
Newport's one of the members.
one of the what?
Members of the,
Yeah, they're one of our towns.
they have to, every municipality has to have a designated licensed kennel or shelter.
A shelter, yes, yep.
And Somerset Humane Society is the licensed shelter du jour.
Is the next nearest one in Penobscot in Bangor?
Yes.
Okay.
And then going out Dexter way, there's nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. There used to be a vet who used to act as the kennel for strays in Dover, but they recently sold their practice in the,
It's currently not a private shelter, I thought it was in the Dexter area.
yeah, no.
No.
No, we actually serve Dexter now, and, yeah.
But if the town of Dexter pays the same per capita rate?
Yes, so every
as
town,
Somerset County town does?
every town pays the same per capita rate.
And is there anything in your bylaws or corporate structure that encourages, prohibits, or discourages you from signing up towns from out of the county?
No,
Or is it a state law that you would have to entertain a municipality?
I believe what the state law is that generally a town can choose to contract with whoever they want, or whoever's offering. Same with the animal shelter, we can choose to cancel our contracts with any town. It doesn't go by county. So even though Somerset County is in our name, it's not actually a state law that we have to do Somerset County, because it's not a,
But if the shelter is full, which
Yep.
apparently it is, and if we, as the county, are in part subsidizing it, can't we ask you to just provide the service to Somerset County? With our-
I don't know.
I don't
Never run
think you
into that
can.
before.
Or by the same token, if we're gonna assist in the building of a new shelter, can we ask those towns to contribute? Something to think about this.
You can always ask,
It's an interesting thought.
Well, we say you don't get to use this unless you
yeah.
pony up. Can't we?
So I think while members of the public are here, and there was a couple commissioners that weren't in the meeting, there's a couple of points I think worth noting. One is that you are at capacity. And one of the things that was discussed in the meeting with the ACOs is, what do you do when an ACO has a dog in their car, and they call and you're at capacity? And the answer to the ACOs was they shrug their shoulder, they take that dog home, put him in their garage, and then start making phone calls in the morning. And I don't think the public's aware of that need.
Yes.
And the other thing is, the charge that you charge to every town was raised from $1.70 to
$1.79 to $2.50.
from $1.79 to $2.50. That's per capita. So Madison used to pay $7,800. Now they pay $14,000.
Yes.
And towns will squawk about that, but it really doesn't even come close to scratching the surface of what your needs are. And the other thing is that it's not a state-run organization. It's a local, are you a 501c3?
Yes.
You're your local nonprofit with a volunteer board, limited capacity, have a hard time getting volunteers and staff members, just like the other 150 501c3s in the Skowhegan area. So
Yes.
and everybody's vying for those donations. So I think that and the amazing number of cats in our area that are just, people just aren't aware of how much time and effort and energy goes into herding cats.
Yes,
So,
that's for sure.
yeah.
Well, the other thing we talked about was trying to get more of a consortium approach to the various animal shelters talking to each other in
Yeah.
terms of kennel availability, so that you don't just say to somebody, the last word out of the shelter's mouth isn't, we don't have room for you. It's,
Yes.
there's a place you can take this dog right now, and then you'd have a sharing of costs and so forth.
Yeah, this is a relatively new problem for our facility. So I've worked there for 10 years, and I've been director for a little over 2. And after 2021, it really started in 2022 in June. We just filled up with dogs, and we have just never emptied, no matter how many times we turn it over. So we have 13 dog kennels in our facility, but we actually have almost 30 dogs under our ownership right now. The rest are in foster care. So the ones that stay at the facility are the ones who need extended medical treatment, extended behavioral treatment, or they're simply waiting to get fixed because there is a distinct veterinary shortage. I don't know if I'd say that. It's very difficult to get your animal into the vet in a reasonable amount of time. So where we have so many animals that we have required to actually get spayed and neutered before we adopt. we constantly run into this wall. So we get a whole group of animals adopted out, and then those kennels are filled right up again. And the only issue that we've had so far with ACOs is sometimes we've had a few that they bring in dogs, they know where they belong, they know where their home is, they'll still bring them into us and tie up our kennels because they want to teach the owner a lesson. And it ends up causing a problem right now with the limited space, the owner getting upset. It constantly is a problem. And the ACOs, I've always understood, are the ones who are responsible for bringing up these particular owners on charges for dog at large and so on and so forth. And that always seems to be something that is lacking. And I believe it's because of the difficulty it takes to get a case like that to go through the whole judicial system. I don't think it's because they don't want to do it. So, so it's, at times, there's a whole bunch of different reasons why our kennels are full. But the fact that we only have 13 of them kind of seems to be the primary reason, although.
Just not to be too gloomy about it, but
No.
what do you do with the totally unadoptable, incorrigible dog that nobody wants?
No,
So we have a policy that if a dog is dangerous to humans, it's euthanized. So we still consider ourselves a no-kill shelter. To be a no-kill shelter, you have to have a live release rate of 90% or less, or greater. So, so as long as we keep it under that. So what we do is we have a dog trainer who has recently started working with us over the last summer. And she comes in and she does assessments, and she helps us with training programs, and she's actually really helped us move dogs quickly out of the shelter, or much quicker than before. And it really put a clear view on what dogs are actually dangerous and what dogs just need training. So, and if there's medical reasons, if a vet recommends for the quality of life of the animal, we euthanize. So, even though it says no kill, it doesn't mean that we don't have to do it.
When you're talking a new facility, you're talking that moves your current into that, or you're talking in addition to and keeping the current?
No, we're replacing the facility that we have now. It's,
So, in relationship to that, and being full, building a new building, and then we get to the end of that building being full.
yeah,
Okay, so it's just a continuous cycle. So
yes.
I'm guessing, my guess is why not utilize the current building as well?
Oh. Come
Or
visit
does
our
it need a
current
lot of
building.
stuff? I mean, is it a code issue, or is it?
Our current building is really not, yeah, it's grandfathered and in a lot of different areas, and it has a lot of issues. Because we had considered putting on an addition on the back of the dog room to try to solve this problem. And the addition was gonna cost, a good $50,000 to $60,000 just for a very small addition off the back. And it wasn't, I realized it wasn't actually gonna solve our problem, because we were just gonna fill up that addition. I was gonna need to hire another person to help take care of that load of dogs, and then we were still gonna be full all the time, because there seems to be more unwanted, abandoned dogs than there ever has been before. And I don't know if the population has significantly increased, which I looked at the census enough to know that didn't really seem like it. But the abandonment issue has definitely increased in this area. So I don't really know how to fix that, to be honest with you. Other than education and spaying and neuter
Are
advocacy.
other regional shelters also considering expansion? Is that?
The other ones have, so Kennebec just recently expanded greatly. Bangor has put on an addition. I'm not sure about Farmington, I think they're about the same size as they've always been. And Waterville has their building. And then I believe Animal Refuge League in Westbrook built a new building about 5 years ago, and Animal Welfare Society in Kennebunkport put on a huge addition. So everybody's upgrading their original facilities or building new ones because, I mean, animal shelters are a relatively new thing in the broad scheme of the century. So I think everybody's finding that this is kind of the same issue. And we used to transfer out our overload. So back in 2019 and 2020, I mean, we transferred over 100 cats both years to ARL and AWS in southern Maine because they had the room and could adopt out so much quicker than us. So we transfer our adoptable animals out to them and they would adopt them out. And we have done that with dogs on a limited, much more limited basis, but this year, they're all full and not able to work with us like they used to. So it's different.
When somebody goes to adopt a dog, one of the last times I heard somebody talk about this, in fact, it might have been our ACO, what's the general fee for somebody to go and adopt a dog?
That depends on the age. So the most common age of the dog that we adopt out is $175, which I believe goes to, remember the ages?
age.
Yeah.
What is it?
The 100 for anything over 7
They're
years
all,
old.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's less for older dog. And then if we get puppies, which we rarely ever get puppies.
Or they're not puppies, but we can adopt them out.
And of course, that fee is supposed to be to recover some of the costs of the dog.
It is. So like we just did spayed and neutered 5 dogs. And the biggest dog on our list was $334 to neuter, and we'll get $175 for his adoption fee. But
Have you tried to compare, so between the cost of holding a dog for weeks or months at a time, that entire cost, as compared to recovering that $175, and you're at capacity, has anybody thought of maybe putting on a clearance sale and saying, hey, you know what? Let's take the hit.
yeah,
Let's clean out half the facility or whatever, you set a number.
yeah,
We had 2 cats adopted.
It almost seems like you would probably save money
We adopted
by-
2 cats our last.
here, instead of $175, just give us $25, just.
yeah. We've done that quite a few times. It's a regular thing that we do. We used to do it a lot more with cats because we didn't have this problem with dogs. And it goes over well sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't, but then we find out that all the shelters around us are also doing the same thing, so it depends on what you have, and, if people want to come and support your shelter, so we do that. It's a great idea, and you're right, it's not a big deal we don't recoup our cost anyways. We're a nonprofit.
Kind of the guy with a crazy question sometimes, but in comparison, purebred dogs is versus mutts. What's your ratio?
Oh my goodness, I don't know, they don't come in with their papers. To be honest with you, we get a lot of bully breeds,
You get a lot
a lot of bully breeds.
really good, okay.
So a lot of times that hinders adoptions because of rental insurance and, or landlords that won't allow those certain breeds. Yeah.
Any further questions or comments? All set? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Quite enlightening. Appreciate the knowledge, thank you, and your work. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate the chance to be heard.
I did urge them to stay, but I also gave them the option to leave.
Well, we have to go back and feed the dogs.
Not until at least 4.
I didn't get that memo.
That's optional,
Guys.
to stay?
Yeah.
I wasn't directed your way.
No wonder.
It's optional for the guests.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we'll be talking soon.
Okay, sounds good. Sorry, anything better.
No, you did, you did.
Our workshop, our second item is a preliminary budget discussion, health insurance COLA.
I just wanted to kind of put out there in the conversation that, and I know Patrick has been doing this over the last couple of meetings, you're starting to get some of those high-impact figures coming out. The Maine County Commissioners Association, which oversees the risk pool, they're anticipating a 20% increase, which equates to about $85,000 to Somerset County. In addition to that, that board voted last week to raise all deductibles on county vehicles. Currently, counties pay a $1,000 deductible. That's been raised to $2,500. So let's just say, for example, there are 10 cruisers that had to go to the body shop this year. Hypothetically, that's an additional $15,000 that the county pays for each of those.
I voted against that, by the way.
You wanted it higher.
That was Cumberland County wanted $5,000.
So, but to that end, the commissioners have taken a look at this from, the state's perspective and, holding those, counties accountable for, we were number one a couple of years ago in driver safety, but we've gone from first to worst. No, not pointing any fingers, Sheriff, but
Keep the deer out of the road.
we should send them to the animal shelter. So with that, and the cost for workman's comp has increased, health insurance. We've gotten the new rates for the Maine Municipal Association Employee Health Trust. And the base rate that the county covers is the base employee rate for the low deductible. It's called the 200 plan. That's a $200 deductible. So if people wanted to opt for no deductible that are employees, they would pay that difference. Right now, we pay for the $200 deductible plan, which as of now is $1,173 a month. As of January 1st, it'll be $1,302 a month. So it's up about $130. Annualize that, it's up about $1,500, $1,600 a year, and we have 70 plus employees that covers. So that's an impact of $110,000. If you recall, at the budget committee meetings last year, they strongly suggested that the county consider covering a higher deductible plan that has a lower cost. So if the county were to do that, they could move to a $500 deductible, a $1,500 deductible, and a $2,500 deductible. Now, all those things save a few dollars if you do that. However, when you're doing that, if the employee wants to keep that $200 deductible plan, and you have now decided, no, we're not going to cover that plan, we're going to cover a higher one, they would have to come out of pocket with that money to make the difference. So for example, if the county moved to a $500 deductible plan, the new rate for that is $1,260, so it's about $40 less. In other words, the employee would pay $40 a month more. If you move down to a $1,500 deductible, the employee would pay $140 a month more if they didn't want the $1,500 deductible and they wanted to keep that $200. So I'm just laying it out here knowing that this will come up during budget discussions, so I would encourage the
What are
commissioners.
those costs? You said $1,500, but you didn't say what the cost was.
I could certainly share the sheet with you, but, so right now, a $1,500 deductible to the county is $1,161.92. So it's actually the $1,500 deductible is now just a few dollars less than what the $200 deductible was.
Yeah.
So in order to keep that even to the county. And I'll just put out there, because you do have different towns that handle this differently. Skowhegan only pays for the $2,500 deductible. So they pay the lowest amount through the same plan, which is why some of our budget committee members from Skowhegan they can't figure out why we pay so much. So I just throw that out there. I'm just saying this is the realities of what you're looking at with the health
And
insurance.
what is the cost of the $2,500?
It's really not that much cheaper. It's 1116. So it's about $50 cheaper per month. So $600 a year for a $1,000 higher deductible.
I'm always trying to pick the right number here. It always seems to be kind of arbitrary to me. I'm sort of wondering, is there a way of assessing what other governmental organizations are paying for health insurance? What other major industries are paying, like New Balance or the hospital or other big employers in the area? It'd be nice to know what the kind of going rate is in order to get a sense of
Yep.
where we should land on this.
So as far as municipalities and counties, we received an excellent project that was done by Erica LaCroix, who is the town manager of Farmington. And I showed Patrick these numbers, and it was excellent. And then Patrick kind of added to that and kind of took a look at, employers that are at the county or municipal level that have 150 employees. Because, Solon has health insurance for 3 people, right? And so it's hard to compare that. But the realities are, when you're looking at the smaller towns, they pay the smaller or the higher deductible, they pay the lowest rate. When you look at other towns that probably have a staff of 100 plus, they're more what we're doing in that regard. And so the key factor in that is their overall health insurance obligation to the employer. And so in some of the smaller towns, that number is $11,000, $12,000 because you pay a portion of the family plan. Somerset County is $28,000, so that's pretty high, our average contribution to health insurance. So that number is higher than all the other towns in Somerset County, but it's about the same as if you compared us to the city of Waterville, if you compared us to the city of Ellsworth, it's comparable. The tricky part is getting private industry numbers because it's not public information. You kind of have to call, and I've done this. I've called New Balance, and they'll say, "Yep." And then they don't answer my question. And so, and I know people at Timber HP in Madison, and they were not offering very good health insurance. And so it's always been the status quo that government can't pay the wages, so they make up for it with better benefits. And that kind of leads me into my next question, if there's no more questions on health insurance. Because the county has done a lot of work over the last 2 years bringing wages up through the whole inflation period so that they kind of keep up with inflation. And so that led to a lot of adjustments that were made to the dollar per hour rate that even went into somebody's salary. What I'm proposing that you look at this year is we don't do any more wage adjustments. We do a COLA, a cost of living increase, but we don't do any more wage adjustments. And because I think based on what I've seen and what I've compared to other counties, I think we've caught up. And we've done this through the union negotiations, and we've done it through our non-union employees. So nobody likes to hear that, but I think we've caught up, and we kind of need to take a breath right now. That being said, I'm recommending a 4% COLA. So the wages now, 4%, and here's the reason why. Most of the data that's out there, and you can Google COLA, cost of living, and you can get 7 different numbers, right? But the numbers that I'm seeing out there are about 3.25 right now is what the cost of living increase is. And I think that's what's being applied to Social Security. So that being said, we are going to be taking % from all of our employees starting in a couple weeks on January 1st for paid family medical leave. So I offer 4%, no dollar an hour wage changes other than the 4% COLA that kind of cushions that 5%, or not 5%, 0.5% that's coming out with paid family medical leave. So I just throw that out there today saying this is what my thoughts are, And this is where some of the realities are with insurances. So,
And that's just for the wage, not for the salaried people.
it would be for everybody. Right.
Oh,
Nice try.
just saying.
Unless the commissioners didn't want it for the commissioners, which is what they did last year, they didn't approve of.
I'm not gonna be bumping you this year.
We're gonna double down this year.
So,
You gonna take a cut and give it to the rest of them?
Yeah.
so any thoughts or comments? I just thought, rather than wait till February, let's start getting these thoughts out there so we can have discussions about them and the realities, so.
Well, I say the same thing I said before. I always like to know what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, and I can get you what every other municipality is doing. I can't get you what Sappy's doing, like, you really can't get you what New Balance is doing.
But you can guess what the other counties are doing,
I can get you what the other counties are doing.
which I think is more important than the municipalities.
Yep,
The family medical, I mean, one could argue that the family medical leave is a new benefit to the employee. And even though it costs a little bit of their salary, it's a huge benefit theoretically. And there's no need for us to compensate them for the loss in income given the size of the benefit they are allegedly receiving. Just an argument.
but they start paying that in January with no adjustment to their pay. So they're paying out of pocket at no choice of their own.
Yeah.
Starting in January. And if there were a benefit to paid family medical leave, they couldn't realize it until May of 2026. So, and that's if the state legislature doesn't change it,
Yeah.
so.
Interesting topic for another day.
Well, I think what we'll look at is those numbers when they come due. The 4%, no adjustments, and see where that falls.
That's for comparison to other counties.
As far as the budget goes.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think we're also looking at some other employee expansions.
I'm not sure if I follow you. Like,
I didn't know if we were going to be trying to hire another officer.
well, that's still part of the sheriff's budget, yes, as he explained last year, yeah.
Yeah, so,
So that's all I had for those two budget items.
okay. Any other questions or concerns, comments? Then we can move on to discuss the flag flying policy. And just to remind you, there is a resolution on here too. It's Resolution 24-227, to fly no flags other than the national and state flag until we formalize the flag flying policy. So we don't have to do anything now. We can wait until our next meeting to do that. Sir?
Well, this is sort of started with me, and when I did, I wasn't looking for any policy. It caught my attention that we're still flying this flag,
The historical.
whatever you may call it, still on the flagpole. And I thought, gee, the voters have spoken rather authoritatively that they don't want this flag, so what are we doing flying on our flagpole? And I think I don't think we need a policy, but just a general consensus that we'd use our flagpole to fly the American flag and the Maine state flag and call it good. And I think we're sort of done with that. That issue never seemed to go away, but now it should go away. The voters have spoken, over and done with. Let's not.
Well, the voters have spoken, but now you're putting words in their mouths by saying that they don't want the flag flown. They just don't want it to be the official.
Well, you can split that hair if you want.
That's,
I can say
What we voted on.
the resolution that passed on was only for March 21st,
yes,
2018.
Yeah.
But it's never been taken down.
so not been taken down. Still continues.
That's why we need some sort of a designation that can fly for 3 days or a week.
I think what happened with that is we were going to take it down, and people came and said, we like seeing the flag flying, and so we just kept it flying.
Said no one.
So,
Well, I think there's other people that support that flag should get their own flagpole and fly it to their heart's content.
Amen, brother.
That's what I say.
I have very big reservations for flag policy. I think it's a road not to take because of controversy, conflict, possible discriminatory issues leading to county lawsuits. I can just see this whole thing unfolding if we make this policy that's general about flags.
oh, I wouldn't make a policy that's general about flags.
If we're gonna make a policy, I like what you said. Okay, let's make a policy that says we fly the US flag, current Maine state flag, and possibly leave it there. And, you know, it will be up to our discretion if we wanna, as commissioners, when the time comes to vote to maybe fly those special patriotic flags. And I'm kind of leaning against that at the county courthouse and didn't fly. Because if you go back to, if you're flying this flag, why can't we fly this flag? I mean, and you brought up the flag policy for, which county was it?
No, it's not. Town of Biddeford.
That's just,
Yeah,
that boggles my mind.
Well, there was also in the state law the POW flag.
So federal and state law says you have to fly the American flag. State law says you have to fly the official state flag.
Right.
And the state and federal law also allow for the POW MIA. You don't have to, but municipalities can. Now, certain courthouses and other places do have to fly that POW MIA flag on certain days. But those are the only three flags that are mentioned in
Right.
state statute or US statute.
and I think that should be, I agree with Scott completely, that ought to be it.
So your policy
Fly
could,
only the flags required by
well,
state and federal law.
that's what I was gonna say. Your policy could be as simple as that the county only flies the flags that are authorized to fly.
I'm certainly not a person who's against flying a POW flag. I'd fly it on my own home flagpole. I'll fly the Don't Tread on Me flag. That's not something we can put up at the courthouse, but you can lead to those arguments for that to be put up by creating a situation, policy that,
Yeah, I like the direction of the
I
flag.
don't want to go to either the right wing or the left wing with the political expression on the flagpole. I think we should, Old Glory and the nice blue state of Maine.
is what is the state.
But I like your proposal that you submitted, yeah.
Again, I'm hesitant to that, and it's not that I don't want to fly the POW flag. I mean, if we decide to do that, I guess that's fine, but I can just see this, if we fly that flag, we should be able to fly this flag.
Well, I would revise my proposal to just say, it's those four flags, and the two sub-flags, so-called, they would only be flied on special occasions, not all the time.
What two subjects?
The missing in action and the POW.
It's the same flag.
The same flag, that's the same flag.
Isn't there another one? There's just one.
Don't-
Well, I think there's special occasions, I don't know what it is, Veterans Day or the other periods of.
Right, and you're not required to.
Well, I think
But
we
it's-
can,
it's your
as a
permit.
matter of our discretion, we
Right.
can ask you to fly that. Or you can ask us, say, we want to fly that this week, we say, sure, fine, go ahead. But aside from that, it's just the US flag and the state of Maine, that's it, period. Is that you, that?
Like we always did.
That it's-
I'm, I'm a little more strict than that. I am right straight ahead. Only the flags required by state and federal law be done. Let's deal with getting our sheriff's department the people they need and the vehicles they need and get the fentanyl off the streets and lower the taxes for the. I'm sorry, this is just not at the top of my list of priorities.
That's why it's number 3 instead of number 1.
That's why you're chair.
I'll say
I
that.
would agree. Let's make it the United States flag, the Maine state flag, and call it that in the policy.
I don't know.
Then we'll have that on our motion next meeting.
Okay.
And we have another motion that I think you'll be happy to consider. So, we're all set with that, and we have no public hearings. Public comment, to allow members of the public to comment or reserve time to speak on an upcoming agenda item. Is there any member of the public here that wishes to speak on an upcoming agenda item, or speak now? Forever hold your peace. Okay. New agenda items, commissioners only. Don't believe there's anything. Administrator report. Bring it up again, we'll vote on it.
Okay, thanks. It's just a couple of things. I want to remind folks that there is a recognition tonight for all the Spirit of America Award recipients at 6 p.m. up in Superior Court. As always, there's towns that take this very seriously, as they should, and they're recognizing the people that do the good work. So we expect a full house tonight, again, at 6. The town of Madison and the school district in Madison have both voted to participate financially in support of a school resource officer. And so the sheriff is moving forward with that. As I mentioned to the board last meeting, that is going to be in conjunction with the Cops Fast funding. So we're going to take a patrol deputy, fill that Cops Fast position, and there'll be an SRO stationed in Madison, but they'll also do school safety work with many of the other schools in the county. And so I'm very pleased that we're moving forward with that. As some of you know, and we just heard from the Humane Society, we had an ACO discussion. Probably the next meeting, I'm going to give you a more detailed wrap-up of this. I really thought it was fruitful, even though there were a lot of voices in the room, and there just seems to be a bigger problem than we've even started to scratch the surface of. What has happened as of today, in my opinion, the focus started with the request from Norwich Walk to have the county hire somebody to be a full-time ACO to provide support. I think what has now shifted is the sense of urgency with the shelter and the fact that it's way over capacity. So what's the county's role? That will be something that will come up in future discussions. One of the things that was brought up was, is this an issue that should stay at the municipal level, or does the county want to take this issue on? So all those things, I'll give a more detailed report at the next meeting. Patrick just informed me that all the LED lights, the project is done in the courthouse on the interior. We had enough money left over that we could do the comm center, the EOC, and the extension office? Yeah. And the extension office, plus replace some of the exterior lights on this building. So all that money has been accounted for now, and I'm very pleased that we were able to work it out as well as we did. Just a couple things I want to draw your attention to. One of the resolutions later on, in number 226, is to submit comments to the Maine Department of Corrections in opposition of proposed rulemaking changes. The sheriff has kept me in the loop on all of this. So there are standards coming down from DOC that DOC says will have no financial impact on county jails. But the rules are, you have to take an inmate. You can't say no, which has a cost associated with it. Right. And you have to stay at your rated capacity. You cannot exceed your rated capacity. So it's a kind of a catch-22. For our facility that has capacity, it's not as big a deal. But for those others that are always at max capacity, the state could say, you have to take this inmate, you can't turn me down, and then the state could turn around and say, okay, you've got to move people around because this inmate now puts you over capacity. So as you have to move these inmates around, you got to pay boarding fees. And the rule says, if you've got federal inmates, you need to get rid of those federal inmates so you can make room for the inmates we want you to take. So that we're losing the income that we have from the federal. So it does impact every jail in the state. And what the Maine Sheriff's Association has asked is that every group of commissioners say no. And so we have a letter that is there for you to sign if you choose to do that. And we get this to the Department of Corrections by December 5th, I believe there's a public hearing. And we have till December 19th to get these letters and resolutions in. So I just want to make you aware of that. Also, coming up in just a few minutes, you'll have a resolution to talk about spending some opioid settlement funds to support the work that's being done by Somerset Public Health. In the Sheriff's Office, we discussed that. and you heard a little bit from Betsy Richards last meeting, and Matt Italian is the Director of Somerset Public Health, and I just want to make sure that you knew who you are partnering with, so. And that's about all I got.
Good, thank you. Any questions or comments? Then we are on to finance reporting.
We're up to 142 employees, so we're only down 7 currently from budget. So, in the jail, it is at 66, which is 1 down from budget, so they're almost at full capacity. When it comes to the finance side, still no issues in the sense that all the departments are running within their budget. We may be roughly 100 to 150,000 favorable currently, so no issues currently, no red flags.
Very good.
Any questions?
Do you have this is a dangerous question for you, a rough idea? So we talked about these multiple insurance increases that we're going to be seeing.
Yep.
I mean, just what Tim talked about, I mean, we're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars in increases.
Correct.
Rough idea about what?
So are we
This year?
hundreds of thousands, are we in the $200,000 range, the $600,000 range?
Oh, increases? No, it's probably maybe 125, 150. It's not, you know. The thing is, like the workman's comp and the health insurance, they go calendar year. So we're also gonna see impact in next year's budget because we're only counting for half the increase this fiscal year. The other half is gonna hit next fiscal year and so on. So that's why I guess, you know, we see it maybe a 30 or 40% increase, but when it hits this year, it may be only 15% because it's.
Right, 'cause, I mean, just two of the numbers that you threw out was 110 and 85. That's
Right.
close to
That's
200,000,
if you-
but that's split between,
Yeah, because
Fiscal.
I tried to make it more fiscal when I was looking at our increases. And yes, the increase that is larger, but we're only taking half of it this year. And the other half goes in the following year.
And how much will the Family Leave Act impact us for the last half of the year?
The last half of the year,
Yeah,
I think it was only like
it starts in January.
50,000.
so-
If I remember correctly, about 50,000.
Okay.
And probably, I think, yeah, maybe 25 for the county. I'm trying to remember the numbers. I think it's 50,000 for half a year, but that's the percent. So at a 0.5%, it's about probably 25,000.
Okay.
But that's in the budget, so.
Good, good. Any other questions or comments?
I know, Mr. Chair, that you always do a good job of recognizing our department heads. I just want to let you know that Mike Smith is here to give an update on the hazard mitigation plan,
Yeah.
which I know you've all memorized. And Tanya Blanger's here to give an update on deeds, which I was supposed to hand out to you, but I've been remiss to do that. I know Mike's got a lot of other places to hit today, so I would encourage you to hear from him first.
Mike Smith, let's hear from you first.
No, I just wanted to check with you to see if there were any questions that I could answer now. I have a 5:15 in Harmony to drop the plan off and then head over to Ripley before the town office closes at 7 to drop the plan off. So just wondered if there was anything that I could answer for you, if you had any questions.
No, I enjoyed the report, and it was very thorough, and I have no questions.
I wickedly wanted to ask you whether this is something we should get out and look at after the Harris Dam blows out and we're all running for cover. Is that what we're supposed to do with it?
Depends upon what causes the dam to blow up, because this is natural disasters as opposed to man-made disasters. So
Okay.
if somebody blows out Harris Dam, then it's a completely different situation.
Okay, well, I'll try and keep that in mind.
Okay.
We can plant them all.
I think it's commendable, the amount of participation you got
It is.
from the towns.
It is.
And this is a key component of them getting funding.
Correct. It's their participation in the plan allows them to apply for hazard mitigation grants, and it also allows them to be qualified for disaster funding, just like the 3 declarations that we had. All 33 towns and plantations participated. The unorganized territories are included in there. It does. It's a kudos to them. You know, some states, state of Maine, it's in statute that the mitigation plan will be done by counties. There are some states where they're done by individual towns. So, you know, we'd have, what, 400 and whatever plans in the state as opposed to 16. But. So, if no questions, I'm going to take off for Harmony.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Watch out for deer because of the effective.
It's not a minute to death.
I already met him. We won't talk about it. Because you know you have too, right?
Tanya?
Yes, thank you. I just had a couple updates for you. I think you're seeing there on your sheets. I thought it was important that you know that we recorded a transfer of 38,000 acres in the UT. It was a $41 million sale, so that was big for us. Total transfer tax on that was $180,000, so $18,000 went to the county in just one transaction. So I thought you should know about it, so you might see a little tiny bump in revenue there in October, and that's why. And also the folks that purchased the land up in Sandy Bay and Bald Mountain, yeah, thanks, David. They're a conservation group, so they're nonprofit. So I don't know how that will affect the tax base. That's beyond my scope, but I just thought you should be aware of it.
Which conservation group is it?
The Conservation Fund. It's, I don't know if you've heard of them, just a quick Google search showed me that.
The global organization?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
they have a long history of, in the state of Maine, you have the ability to pay instead of taxes because they're not forced to be taxed, so they have a history of having it completely off the tax roll, so.
Yeah, so just a FYI there. Any questions on that? The other topic I just wanted to bring up was the business of our software program. We were due to renew with Avenue Insight. They're our software company for the deeds department, and so our software program controls everything from recording a document to our financial reports. It's the whole package. We were happy to renew with Avenue Insights on February 19th when our contract was up. We were ready to sign a 5-year contract with a small increase. Unfortunately, Avenue reached out to me on October 7th and let me know that they will be phasing out the 2020 software over the next 5 years. That's not something I wanted to hear in my first year. So right now, we're in the depths of figuring out what our options are. And so on the sheet there, it's just a brief outline of basically, just to keep it short, we can go with Avenue 2020 again for the next 5 years before they phase out. We can go with Avenue 2020 for 1 year to buy us time to figure out what we want to do. We can go with their new package, which is Avenue 2.0. It's a cloud-based system. It's a good package, but I'm not sure we really want to stay with Avenue. And then the other option is to go to bid and look at the other software companies. The one we are most in favor of already is called IQS. That program is being used by 8 of the 16 counties right now, a 9th on the way. So they're definitely leading in the state of Maine. I have a rep coming next Tuesday to tell us about IQS, so I'll have more information after that. But that's what I have for you right now, and I'll keep you updated as we go.
Well, before we go any further, congratulations on your election.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good.
So I guess,
Just a quick question.
Patrick,
The storage of the, let's say the scans and everything is by a different vendor, right? Is
No.
that gonna, All through the?
It's all through Avenue.
Okay.
It's priced separately, so it's $187 per month, but that goes to Avenue, and it's held at Ironbound Mountain in Pennsylvania, which is their outfit.
Okay. Thank you.
That organization is Conservation International?
The Conservation Fund.
The Conservation, okay.
They're out of Virginia.
The Conservation.
They have, oh gosh, I think like 9 million acres across all 50 states.
Thank you.
So, on your options for RFP, have you, that'd be, my druthers would be to see that, quite frankly.
I agree.
I don't know how further along that you and anybody else has been in developing an RFP for that.
We haven't even started that. I'm hoping to get more answers Tuesday from IQS. I want to know how long the turnaround would be if we went to RFP, decided on them, or anybody for that matter.
Yeah.
How long we could go from what we have now with Avenue into a working program with the new software. I have no idea. This is all new. I'm trying to work through it as quickly as I can. After Tuesday, I'll have more answers, and then honestly, what I would like to do is either buy the 1 year with Avenue to give us time to do this properly, or just go straight forward with IQS, of course, with your permission. And I don't have the figures for any of that yet.
The Franklin County just did their, have you been able to look at their RFPs and the, those bids? Because those bids would be public.
Yeah, so I have been blessed to be able to work with Jess at Franklin County. She shared a lot of her information with me. I know that Franklin came in around just over $43,000 for the year to use IQS, which is the software company they've decided to go with. They record a few thousand documents less than we do in a year, but we're comparable. So I'm hoping it would come in around there, which would be about $13,000 more. Excuse me, let me make sure I'm telling you that right.
That's about right.
I think, yeah, so it would be around 11,000 more to go with IQS over what we would have with 2020 per year. And I don't know if there's a startup fee. That's all stuff I'll find out on Tuesday. With Avenue 2.0, their new big fancy system, there's a startup fee of $30,000. That's ahead of the yearly fee.
And then would that even click in 5 years if you went with them for the 5 years?
Yes, one good thing about that option is we can stay with 2020 and phase into 2.0 gradually as we are ready as a staff. So, and I don't know if IQS offers that as well.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
When do you have to give Avenue an answer on which kind of?
So, yeah, so Patrick was asking me when I have to tell Avenue. If we decide to go with what I'm calling the early bird special for the new Avenue 2.0 cloud-based software, we would have to give them an answer by December 31st, which is just too rushed in my opinion. If we decide to go with the 2020 software we already have for another 5 years, or even for the reduced 1-year contract, we would have to tell them, or we'd have to sign by February 19th. And keep in mind, like I said, I just found out on October 7th. They didn't even demo the new software and give me pricing until October 30th.
I would suggest that if we do a contract, do a 2-year one.
2 year?
Yeah, there's always a snag, and we don't want to rush into anything. You know, work out the bugs, get the conversion corrected if we go with a different software. So at a minimum, I would say a 2-year contract. I wouldn't do a 1 year.
Well, the 1 year she's talking about is just to extend what we have.
Right, I would extend it 2 years.
2 years.
Just as a buffer.
As a buffer, you still got the 3 years after if something doesn't work out the first 2, because they'll cover the software for 5 years.
Oh, I see what you're saying, the.
So I do it for 2 years,
I see.
give you probably a year buffer to, if you do switch software, to implement the software. And then at the end of 2 years, if there's nothing in place, you still got 3 years to search.
I can reach out to Avenue and ask them if they're willing to do a 2-year contract.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it didn't sound like there was an option, but that's a good, that's a,
I think
An
one year
option
is
before.
too short if we do go with a different company.
but, and at the same time, we'll find out more Tuesday from IQS,
Yeah.
what they're,
Right, but your next commission meeting is on the December 4th?
this is December 4th.
So you only got 2 meetings before the end of December, and she's gonna need to have a contract by the end of December if,
Only if we went with Avenue 2020,
2.0.
I mean, 2.0
Yeah,
rather.
that's their new system.
right.
yeah.
But my understanding was you was asking for an RFP or RFQ, whatever you wanna call it.
Well, that's one of the options, is an
Right, but that's
RFP.
gonna take a lot longer in a month.
Yeah. And we might not go with an RFP, we don't have to per se, we could just go with one or the other. So,
I'll let the town.
Scott?
I've got another question. We go with what we have now for 5 years, is that program going to be able to keep up with what could happen?
My instinct is no. We already have glitches with that program. It's phasing out, it's outdated, it's not cloud-based. And they've already insinuated that their support for the 2020 program, the program we have now, will be diminished because they'll be focusing on their new cloud-based 2.0 system. I am concerned about the support we would have if we continue with 2020 for 5 years. 1 or 2 years, that seems doable.
I don't know about 2 years, if they're threatening to pull.
They're all doing that. Even Trio's threatening to pull. They're saying they want to get rid of the sequel, they're going to web-based. The only reason they're pushing that is they got 2 groups of people that are managing 2 separate systems. They want to combine their efforts under one system.
Isn't Trio part of Harris?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trio is doing the same thing. I've been getting threatening notes now for years that they're going to the web-based, and I ignore them. There's too many people out there, or towns, that are on it, that they're not gonna just turn the switch off.
Yeah.
But that's the opposite with Avenue.
Right.
Is there's only one other county in the state that's using it.
Right, I just meant,
Yeah,
there's a lot of companies out there using the same threatening
right,
techniques.
right.
Right.
Obviously not easy to forecast how things are gonna go, but I think we can assume a bit that things are gonna take off a little bit in terms of, you know, housing, sales, and all of the different.
It has recently. I'm not
I
exactly
mean,
sure
that's
what's
just
going
gonna
on there.
increase even
Right.
more.
Mm-hmm.
So do we wanna risk continuing to utilize 5 years, the 2020 program that might not
No.
be sufficient to keep?
I don't
it
think
going?
anyone's suggesting to sign up for 5 years.
No.
Okay, I thought they.
No, they allow you up to 5 years.
Yeah, you're up to 5 years, okay.
They want me to sign 5 years for either one of the programs, preferably their new program. I am personally not interested in that, and neither is my staff.
Okay.
We really want and are interested in, I should say, we are really interested in IQS. For the reason, like I said, 8 of the counties are already using it. I'm interested in it. The other Avenue user in Cumberland County, she's interested in it when her contract is up in 2 years. I've heard nothing but wonderful things about them, never a negative, and they're leading the industry in Maine, so it just makes sense to look at them. And of course, I wouldn't have blinders on. There are other companies that we would reach out to. But like Patrick said, that's going to take time.
Do you see any reason why we would have negative effects of that even in a 2-year?
2 year, I hadn't thought about it until just now. I understand his point. I still think 1 year would be better because honestly, it would just be buying us time to get through the plan of transitioning. But of course, I'm talking a little too in favor of IQS. I've never even seen the program. I'm just going off what I've heard. So after Tuesday, I'll have a lot more. And because it's a time crunch, I'm willing just to email you all if that would be easier with the updates rather than waiting for the meeting. I don't know if that's appropriate.
But you can give everything to Tim and he can reach out to us.
Will do.
So, that's good. All set? Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And we have, the sheriff is here.
We're extremely busy, so busy, we were just told that our staffing is almost full at the jail, which is a good thing. The county administrator and I met with the commissioner of DAS. The state has flat funded, as you all know, the jails for FY 25-26. The meeting with the commissioner was to talk about the unfunded mandates by the state and their constitutional responsibility. It was a very, it was a meeting, but we were told on the onset there is no money that the state has. So there's going to be a lot of work surrounding that, looking at it legislatively, how we look at how the state funds their responsibility for county jails.
Questions?
Legalizing marijuana advertising budget, last I knew, 3 years ago, had millions of dollars they had no idea what to do with, so just make a note. You can ask about that.
Yeah, we can.
I mean, that was the whole idea of legalizing marijuana was part of that income was going to help pay for law enforcement.
Yeah, we're not seeing that. The issue is that when the legislators updated the $20.2 million, which was roughly around 20% of overall jail operations 3 or 4 years ago, that 20.2 is no longer 20.2, and there is no mechanism to adjust for inflationary. The fact that they flat funded us and our drivers are the same, utilities, food, health, and payroll, but they gave themselves over a 10% raise. There has to, when I'm talking legislatively, and I started a conversation this morning with a senator, is that there has to be some sort of mechanism that adjusts for that inflationary. I don't think we got very far with DAS, but that's just, they said they were going to take our conversation under advisement. But,
Could bury it under advisement.
yeah, I was born tonight, but not last night. Thank you for the conversation. Here's the door.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions? David?
I finished another, it was a MEMA paperwork. FEMA is done with us from the disasters we had. They forwarded stuff to the states, MEMA, and I finished the last form, so we should get our first check from the May storm, which was a smaller one last year. We should get a check for reimbursement for some of our costs. But don't have it yet, but I sent the paperwork in for that. And on the balances Patrick gave everybody on all the county balances, account balances, the TIF balance looks really good at 1.2 million. That's because we haven't sent back half of our last payment back to Blue Sky West. So we actually are going to have 804,000 in that account after our next meeting, because my check to them will be in the next meeting.
All right. I met Dave from Capera the other day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he said that he talked to you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we've got them all taken care of.
Yeah, thank you.
And the stove's working well.
Beautiful. And I did email the minister who,
Oh,
and
good.
thanked him for the lead and hope that he got that the stove was working in good order, and he was very appreciative.
She.
She.
I also said he, and I was corrected.
Thank you.
Not with her, but with one of my workers.
Thank you for correcting me.
Yes, yeah.
I wondered, I said, anyway. That's good to know. And is there anybody I've missed?
I think you got it.
Dying to speak?
I do have one comment I would like to make.
Sure.
If possible. I'd like the commissioners to consider this. It's been a little bit of a burr in my saddle, but to this $41 million that the land was just purchased. So totally, the transfer tax was $180,000. We do all the work, the county does all the work, and the state gets $162,000 of that, and we end up with $18,000. It just doesn't make sense to me that the county does the work and we give that money to the state.
Oh, it's in my craw too, so, yeah.
Seems like a rigged system, doesn't it?
Well, those are your words, but I think it'd be worth the MCC putting something together legislatively, and that's just one purchase.
Yes. And it is a legislative.
Thank you for entertaining
You want
the
the money?
conversation.
You can't spend it fast enough.
If we were in legislature, I think that we'd rectify that.
The point
They
when
need
they
the
were-
dough and they want to spend it. They're not gonna say, well, we'll let you have it.
Any further discussions? And we can move on to new business. And our first order of new business is Resolution 24221 to approve the updates to the employee handbook for Somerset County.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
So I will just point out, by approving this resolution, you are accepting the changes that were presented during the review over the last several months.
Right.
Most notably, that probationary periods will be 6 months, not 12 months. That vacation will start to be earned at 90 days, not 6 months. And vacation earnings will be capped at 240 hours. But that it is grandfathered to those who are already at 280 hours. And a buyout for someone who doesn't take the insurance would move from a 4-month premium to a 6-month premium. So by passing this resolution, you're agreeing to all those things. Now, there's a late entry that has come in about pets in the workplace. And if you're going to pass this handbook, and you're going to make a policy on pets in the workplace, you got to do it right now, in my opinion. Or you could just put it off and say, we'll deal with that later. But I viewed a good number of emails in regards to this, and I would be remiss if you didn't have an opportunity to talk about this before you pass this handbook.
Well, I'll plead guilty to bringing this up too, along with flags. But I only saw it because I saw Franklin County was adopting a pet policy, and mindful of the fact that we had some animals in here not too long ago that were creating a lot of hatred and discontent. I was wondering whether it might be appropriate to have our own pet policy, but I don't want to slow down the wheels of government excessively on this issue. And
What would be the time delay on adding that?
You're the commissioners, you can amend the handbook anytime you want to. And so,
Well, as of today, so you said now is the time to do it if you want to address it.
if you want to put one in right now, if you want to put a pet in the workplace policy in, now would be the time to do it, so I can get the handbook out to the employees. And it
So
was
it's not going to delay you other than adding some type to the,
Oh, no.
Okay.
It's not a burden on me, don't worry about that.
I
He designates. What I would suggest that we would do is we'd take a couple of, or at least come back and revisit this at our next meeting. In the meantime, you can put pet policy as a placeholder in the handbook and let them know it is coming.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think there's been any crucial incidences to date.
I did have to notify one employee, who is really not a county employee, he's a state employee, that brings his dog pretty regularly. And it's a beloved little puppy upstairs, and I forwarded your emails to him and say, hey, just by the way, they might be thinking about changing this policy. It's not a service dog, it's not an emotional support dog. And so he met me at the stairs the other day, and he had the dog and his little bed and his little bowl and all that stuff. And they put the dog down, the dog was on a leash, and he came up and growled at me. So I was the messenger, and so the dog took it out on me. And so, but, so I mean,
you should have pointed him to John.
You can't say, I threw John under the bus early on. But I think it's careful, we gotta be careful with this, because there are federal and state laws, ADA, that deal with service dogs. And so, do we need a pet policy? Maybe, maybe not. I asked the sheriff's court security, I said, what do you do? What do you do if somebody comes into jury duty with a dog? And they basically say, if it's got a vest on it, it goes. And so they don't ask to see papers, they don't, and there is a caveat that if the dog is, disagreeable and causes a disturbance, they can, they have the right to move on. So, whenever you Google pet policies now, they're not the pet policies that you're thinking of. They're the pet policies that we're trying to recruit everybody to come work for us so that you can bring your pet to work. So it's a very pro-pet policy. I agree with what you're talking about is to maybe have a no pets in the workplace policy. And I think that's what your email discussions have been about. So.
But should we just workshop this? Could we just defer and workshop this?
Yeah, I think we should workshop it. Yeah, and you can just put pet policy as a placeholder in this next revision.
Note that you wrote up a little, which I thought was great, a short, sweet kind of policy that would cover what we needed to and cover the statutes of service dogs.
Well, yeah, but you want to put that in temporarily or just discuss it? I mean, I think we'll survive till.
Just put it as a placeholder.
Next meeting, we'll
You saying that might just bite us.
Might bite the hand that feeds.
No pun intended.
Oh, yes. All right, thank you.
Okay, we got a motion.
Back to their vote.
Okay, ready to vote?
We made them and seconded it. So we're just
Yeah.
15.
We already made it, seconded it. So any further discussion? All in favor? Raise your paw. Let's go, thank you. Resolution 24-222 to approve the use of $50,000 from opioid settlement funds to partner with Somerset Public Health and care for a care coordinator position within the sheriff's office.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor? To go. Thank you. Resolution 24-223 to approve the promotion of Travis Andrews to Captain Deputy Jail Administrator and Shannon Pooler to Lieutenant at the Somerset County Jail.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? To go. Thank you. Resolution 24-2024 to approve the hire of Richard Coulson, Bruce Dean, and Mark Hayes as corrections officers at the Somerset County Jail.
Move.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Thank you. Resolution 24-2025 to 225 to approve the Somerset County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? So go. Resolution 24:226 226. To submit,
Whoa.
to submit comment. You thought we might miss that one.
You need a colonoscopy.
To submit comment to the Maine Department of Corrections in opposition of proposed rulemaking changes that will impact county jails.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Let's go. Resolution 24-227 to affirm that the county courthouse will fly no flags other than the official national and state flag until such time that we formalize a flag flying policy.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Let's go. Resolution 24-228 to post openings in the Somerset County Jail for training and compliance supervisor and programs manager.
So,
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Okay, to go. No capital reserve expenditures, nothing from the unorganized territory. Warrants, Resolution 24-229 to approve the treasurer's warrant for general fund, Somerset County Jail, unorganized territories, TIF tax revenue and TIF community benefits for a total amount of $769,694.74. And a second from SIP. Any discussion? All in favor? To go. Miscellaneous discussion items, commissioners only.
okay, I have one. I haven't completed the courses on fire prevention, harassment, prevention, and the other two things that we were supposed to do. Timmy?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
She's the HR person.
Oh,
She's not gonna let you leave.
yeah, I don't know, how many of us completed those courses?
I have not, I can't seem to get past my phone on it.
No.
I can't get on the,
He's having a problem with it.
I can't have a problem, so it's useless, I'm not even bothering anymore, I can't get on it.
I think it's your browser.
It's not my problem, it's a junk problem, it's a software problem.
I was gonna talk
I
to
didn't have any issues.
Jonathan downstairs.
Anyway, I'm not doing it.
We're losing people now. So obviously, this is something that everybody's experiencing technical difficulties with outside of the office. And I guess there's an expectation that all employees of the county should take this, so we can kind of check that box. And as elected officials, you are considered employees. Yeah, but it's required annually, every year. So let's just give it some time to try to work the bugs out. We'll get Jonathan on it and Pavel and try to work that out.
Every week at work, I have to do this, but I still have to do it even though I've done it in 4 other places.
Do you have a certification?
Yeah.
Like you-
We have to do it every year here.
You have to do it every year.
So you do, and that's what I mean. All of those that I've done with you guys, and they did all 4 of them, I also have to do for my.
Oh, I see,
And
I see.
everything else.
Okay.
We always, last time I took it, came here.
Yeah, I did it from home.
Actually, have you finished those courses yet?
No, Rob done it.
I can sign you up.
I wonder where it's going then.
It goes all.
Mystery email.
Yeah, well, you gotta
You just don't answer either, right?
So, in respect to miscellaneous discussion items, any other? Yes.
In relation to this parcel of land being purchased, I'd be interested to know, because there's probably a couple of different moving parts, what is the impact on county revenue or the UT budget revenue, UT revenue? And are there other, and I believe are there similar entities out there that are in the same situation? So I believe Maine state law is they are not required to pay property tax, but they can basically gift us money in lieu of taxes.
So in this case, with the UT, they'd be gifting Maine revenue money, doing a pilot, payment in lieu of taxes. So that's an arrangement between Maine revenue and the entity that buys the property. 41 million was the sale price, but Dave would have to check and see what the actual valuation of those 38,000 acres
It
were
would have no impact on the budget other than the mill rate.
in the county. So just keep in mind, in the UT, it's $1 billion valuation. So $40 million really is just a small fraction of that $1 billion overall valuation. So it doesn't really change much.
This is the statewide UT.
No, the Somerset County's is a $1 billion UT.
And I'd be interested to know what the tax is, actual tax on that parcel was. Because
Yeah.
it's probably a tree growth. I'm
Right,
assuming.
and the thing is, like you said, it would affect the mill rate, which if it affects the mill rate, then every other person that lives in the UT is going to pay a little bit more.
That's correct.
Now, if you just look up this particular nonprofit, their 2023 financials, there were $800 million.
Sure.
Right? So our citizens that are struggling on Social Security should not be picking up a penny of added taxes because of this organization or the Nature Conservancy, which also owns tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands that they take off the rolls. They can, and so what I would like to, if there is an impact, no matter how small it is, I would like to propose a letter written to them, asking them for the gift to be a good neighbor of what they would normally pay in taxes. They can afford it. The people who live here can't.
And since it would be a gift, it doesn't have to be to Maine revenue, it could be a gift to Somerset County.
Well, that would be an interesting research.
I think you
effort to
get,
see if that's possible.
I think you get a fight from the state on that.
Right, directly from you.
Only if they knew.
Well, it doesn't, it's a gift, it doesn't have to be.
He's over now then.
Well, I don't know.
So I know you guys got plenty to do, but.
No, it's interesting. It's worth it. It shouldn't take long to find it. So,
And Maine Municipal is on our side.
I know.
It was one of the very few things they sided with me.
Well, I had a question for the commissioners. We're having the Spirit of America Awards tonight. Is everybody going to be there?
Not me, it's my birthday.
Well, happy birthday!
Birthday.
Wow.
Okay.
He's officially
You almost made it. So generally, we have the commission, the chair hands out all the awards. But I didn't know if we wanted to do a change of venue and then have the commissioner hand out the awards for their particular district. Doesn't have to be this year, it might be next year, but anyway, I thought I'd just bring that out to you.
I like the way you read them.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with you just
Okay.
keeping things moving. Would be-
All right, I just thought I'd give the commissioners a chance to,
Plan on being there, but I mean, I
to,
think just keeping it that.
okay, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want you to be left out on an opportunity to represent your respective districts, that's all. All right. Have a little recess before the executive session?
Yeah.
I was expecting to be out here at 4:50. I gotta run the Spirit of America show. Oh, sure. Yes, sir. Before you run off.
I feel you're very negative.
I'm gonna make this my signature page.
No, I'm
SRO.
I'm negative about multi-million organizations.
Franklin, Joe, we have,
And put on the back stuff.
we have an entity, and they have $100 million, somebody left them $100 million just for attorney.
Oh, yeah, you're not gonna be. Which one is this? I'm on the board, we have no such thing.
No, they have,
$100 million, what?
there's a land, it covers all land, all around the nation. Some guy left $100 million.